Hello there. Okay, ooh, I think we're going to go with echoes again. Hello, everybody. Hey, we got echoes. Good.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Okay, there we go.
hello, hello.
Hello, hello,
Okay.
hello, hello, hello. We're so good. You got to hear us twice, huh? So, how you doing
Every time.
tonight? Welcome
4 times.
back. We're back. You like
We're
that?
back.
Hey, got to talk with the hands. Hey, we're back,
Ready for the
and
show.
welcome to the Seekers Chronicles Paranormal Historians. We're on episode 33, guys. 33. Today's.
Loving it. Loving
So,
it.
Ooh,
Lucky
yeah,
33.
master numbers.
yeah. Today. All we need to know is
Yeah.
today. So, how's everybody doing out there? I hope we have people in the audience. Do we have anybody? Yes,
Yes,
Mary
we
Beth.
do.
And,
We have a
oh,
bunch
yeah,
of
we have a
people.
bunch of people. Hey, so I want to say hello to everybody. I have to go back. So, hello. Welcome back. We're here. We're, you know, remember what was the thing I came up with again? I forget. Uh, oh yeah,
Where
where
history.
street meets the paranormal. Hey, I came up with that. I can't remember it. Shit. Senior,
It's already history.
I
senior
know. We're
moment.
gonna have.
Yes, history.
We'll remind you every week.
Remind me. Yeah, I'm gonna. You guys should do hold up cards. Hold up cards. And tonight,
Cue
guys,
cards.
every
There you
time I say
go.
cannoli, you got to drink. Cannoli
Yeah,
is a
it's a
trigger
drinking
word.
game.
To drink again. Every
Yep.
time cannoli's brought up on the show, you guys gonna have to drink something. I don't know. So here,
Yeah.
agua. Got agua. I got
Kim's got our vodka
my
right
Red
there.
Bull.
And yeah, you've
But
Vodka,
got your
yeah,
Red
straight
Bull.
vodka.
yeah, she got straight vodka there. So how was you guys' weekends? Kim, I know you probably worked. No?
Yes,
Aw.
sir. Yes, but a happy holiday weekend. Yeah, I hope everybody had a great
Yes.
holiday
Oh
weekend.
yes. Memorial Day. I
Marking
want to
the
thank
official start of summer.
all the veterans and Memorial Day is actually for the veterans that lost their lives, keeping our country free. So, thank you for your service and thank you for everything. My father was a veteran, so of the Korean War, and he came back, but
Oh,
not too in the head. So, I just want to thank everybody that served for our country,
yeah.
and thank you. So, I know Jenny did. Jenny every weekend goes somewhere.
Here we go. Here
It's
we go.
every weekend. You look in Jenny's somewhere. If it's not a weekend, it's a weekday. She's all over the place doing something with Ghost.
Yes, I
She's
am. You're right. And I
You're like
don't
a ghost
apologize for
whisperer
it.
now. You're a ghost whisperer.
Oh. So
So where'd
yeah,
you
I had
go?
an invite. First of all, it's my daughter's birthday today. So happy
Oh,
birthday, Julia.
Happy birthday,
happy
Happy
Julia.
20th
birthday,
birthday.
Julia.
Today is her actual birthday.
May
We
babies are the
celebrated
best.
yesterday. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
June babies are close. Well, maybe
so,
Not
August ones
yet,
too.
maybe close second. Close second
Yeah, because you're married to one. Um,
for Julia.
so I did have an investigation Friday night with the Moon Ladies, a Dutch homestead in New York State that I've been to, I think, twice already. Yeah, twice already. This is my third time, and I just love it. And we're going back in 2 weeks, so I can't wait.
awesome.
Yeah.
We just lost Kim. There goes Kim. Kim, you froze up on us.
Yeah, I don't know what my
At least we can see you there. You're not like a meme.
Kim's invisible. She's invisible.
Yeah, I can see her. She's looking down at the
Like,
screen.
what do you mean you can't see her? I can see her. No, I'm kidding.
I'm right. Can you hear me?
Oh,
I
now
can
we
Hold
see
see
half
half
of
of you
you. That's
now. You
hilarious.
see your
on.
mouth
No,
down.
things. Don't worry.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
hello.
So we have a great guest this week, and
Do
from
we ever?
from across the pond, and we're going to have Jenny,
Oh,
the fangirl, introduce
Fun
her.
girl. Come on. I truly am. So this is exciting because not only do we have somebody from across the pond, but she's actually live right now. So that means she got up in the middle of the night, in the early morning hours to speak with us. So let's give her a little extra love tonight. We have amazing author and investigator Penny Griffiths Morgan. Welcome.
Hey, Penny.
Hi. How could I not?
Hello.
How could I not set my alarm when I get invited on with you awesome guys? I mean, come on. But yes, it is 1:05 in the morning. It is 1:05 in the morning right now.
Yeah, but she's good now. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, give me a couple of hours when you towards the end of the show, and I might be like,
her head will be on the desk, and we'll be talking amongst ourselves now.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we will understand.
We'll see the top of her head, just like this is the top of her head. Oh, okay, she just dozed off. You can take a quick nap here or there if you need to.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know.
On this show, no, you never know.
Air horn. We'll ring a bell. Set up an air horn.
Lots of welcomes coming in. Melissa
Just
says
in case.
welcome. Jess says welcome. Todd and Carmela say
I'll wake
hi.
up.
Penny.
Yeah.
No,
The
we let her sleep if she needs to.
I'm just going to answer Todd and Carmela's question. The Skittles, no. The 15-year-old discovered he liked them and kept nicking them out the fridge. So I'll have to get some more next time I come over. And the Hershey, I think I've still got 2 bars left because I hid them. So my husband and the 15-year-old couldn't eat them. So
wait, were they freeze-dried Skittles? I have to know. Yeah. Okay. Because
we don't get them over here. They very
No.
kindly. I was in the States a couple of weeks ago because I was invited to be a vendor at Penhurst at the Paracon, which was amazing. And the guys were going to bring me some food. And I have to tell the story about this, by the way. They were going to bring me some food and they were going to bring me a pizza. But I just couldn't stomach food all weekend for some reason. So they'd heard in an interview I'd done before that I loved Hershey's cookies and cream. And so they bought me a couple of bags of that and they bought me those freeze-dried Skittles to try. So but I saved everything until I got back to the UK so that I could share the Skittles with the family, which was a big mistake. I should have hogged them all to myself.
Yeah,
that's what I learned.
Lessons learned.
Listen, when it comes to candy and stuff, you find hiding spots. And you know something? I know with the kids and my wife and everybody, you could put them in plain sight. They'll find them. If you find the hardest hiding spot, they'll find them. You play them in plain sight, they don't see it. They overlook it. I don't see it. Good.
Well, I don't know whether my 15. I mean, if you hear barking or whatever, I'm not possessed by hellhounds or anything like that. I have a very vocal German Shepherd who has to be wherever I am. But I swear, my 15-year-old has got the nose of a German Shepherd when it comes to chocolate and sweets. He can sniff it out anywhere. Can't find anything else. Anything else can be right in front of him. I can't see it. It's right there. Where? Right there. But when it comes to sweets and chocolate, oh yes, he's got the nose of a German Shepherd sniffer dog. Really. Yeah.
It's part of their
priorities.
Well, we are very pet friendly on this show, and Kim's a veterinarian, so very pet friendly.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I have a three-legged rescue German Shepherd who is mad as a box of frogs, but
I love it.
He's quite a sweet dog when he wants to be. He's just
lost Kim.
Mad.
I know, we keep losing her. Oh, I love it. That's the best kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll probably see my cat's butt on the screen sometime during the night. So why do they always do that? Cats are always like, "Let me show you my butt on the screen." All right.
They do. Yeah, I've when I've done podcasts with other people who suddenly, normally when it's one that you can't see the video, and suddenly I'll start laughing on the audio, and you have to explain to people why you're laughing, and it is because the cat has just walked straight across the screen and done a little twerk.
It's like, I'm here.
So true.
That's
so
funny.
true.
Funny. Yeah, we all love animals. This weekend, I end up watching my my son's dog, my I call him my grandpup.
Yeah.
And and my wife's my son-in-law's mother-in-law, they went away and they left their 2 cockatiels here. So besides that, I have a parrot. And so it was like when you have a bunch of birds in your house, that's a very noisy house. No barking. but a lot of blah blah blah. It's like shut up already. And her birds, every time Mr. Softy comes by, the ice cream truck, it plays the sound. They scream. It's like they scream for ice cream. I'm like, birds that want ice cream. They're pretty cool.
So do I.
You know? Yeah, I was like, hey, you chasing a truck down the block with the birds. But yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Mary
Your
Beth,
parrot's
there's
got
a
a bad
question
mouth.
here. Where are you from,
Already
Penny?
a question.
I'm from a place, it's a county in England called Essex, which the easiest way to describe it is kind of northeast of London. It's one of the counties that borders London. So I'm from Britain, I'm from England, but just northeast of London.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're on with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to it. I've been so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Mm.
So
Same. He's gonna make fun of me. He's gonna say "fangirl" 80 times, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Well,
said,
yeah.
I have read your books. I had read your books before the first time we talked on Anthony's former podcast when I was a guest host, and I was like, "Oh," when I saw you were on, I was like, "Guest host."
Yeah, the other host couldn't be on, but so I was like, Jenny, want to be on? Sure.
Are you
And
kidding?
I told her who it was. It was like a 12-year-old girl.
Oh,
And she
forget it.
said, I read her books. Woo."
I know. And so ever since then, he's like, "Fangirl."
Well,
Girl.
I still have to. I still find it really hard to believe. I'm just me. I'm just
Right.
I'm just me. I just happen to like writing.
Right. Well, I happen
But
to like your writing
I'm
too.
always. Thank you. I'm always very genuinely happy when people say they enjoy it too. Yeah, I am genuinely really, really happy. It makes, when I wrote my first book, I thought if 2 or 3 people buy it, then great. And I still feel like that when I launch a new book. If a couple of people want to buy it, then brilliant.
Right.
But it's more than a couple. And I still have to pinch myself.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So what are these books we're referencing?
Do you want to talk about them,
How
Jenny?
many? How many are you on now?
6.
Okay, I got
released
picture.
6.
One.
Is this all the
Which one?
ones?
There's another one to add to that. The newest one, Becoming Peggy. I haven't updated my banner yet. Yeah, this is the newest one, Becoming Peggy. This one.
Okay.
I read about it, but I don't have it yet.
And well, it only came out about a month or so ago, and it's my newest one, and it's sort of semi-autobiographical, because one of the things I got asked a lot by people is, why can't we learn more about you? And I was like, and so my nickname, the guys who run Haunted Magazine in the UK, Paul and Andy, they nicknamed me Peggy because my initials are PG, and it kind of stuck. And I thought you can either fight them or you can join them. So yeah, they do call me Peggy at times, and that's why I called the book Becoming Peggy, because Peggy's like Sasha Fierce is to Beyonce, Peggy is to me. And it's that one. So it kind of talks about where some like major life events, things where I grew up. So it's still a mixture of history and paranormal, like all my books are, but it's not. It's all stuff that's very, very personal to me. I mean, there's one of the most impactful events ever on my life. And this isn't meant to create sympathy from anyone. It's just the fact, was when I lost my sister when I was 22. Right. And so there's a chapter on that and some of the weird stuff that happened to me after that happened. And all I'll say for anyone who's not read it yet, there's a bit about a kamikaze mirror, which you I still can't explain it. When you read it, you'll get what I mean by that. So that's the most recent one. So yeah, I'm up to 6 now.
Wow, that's amazing. When did you start writing?
I wrote the first one in, I think it was 2018, My Haunted History. I've always wanted to write.
Them out every year.
Yeah, it was for a while. Yeah, this year will be the first time I've not looked. I had finished Peggy last year, but the chap who does my artwork, he had a major delay on getting it out, so it was delayed quite a bit. And I was sort of pushing them out roughly once every 12 months because I get very drawn into the research. I can just disappear. It's my it's my drug, if you like, the research. And that's actually what takes more time than the writing. It's the research. But yeah, it was the author Richard Estep, who is a friend of mine. I kept saying I want to write a book. We'll just do it then. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know where to start. I don't know. And that's why he did the forward for.
He does the forward for
because
it.
he's the one that pushed me to start. And to be honest, once I was finishing up my haunted history when I got the idea for a haunted experiment. So, and now I have a long list of ideas of books that I can gradually I am sort of sounding out my next one. So I am sounding out now number 7, what it's going to be about. Yeah,
that's how it goes, once you get the first one.
Keep on going. Yeah.
I think for some people, other people sort of like, oh, I've done one now. Right. That's it. That's my list ticked. But no, it's for me, it's a bit like tattoos. I'm just going to keep going. Until I can go no more.
So I totally know what you're talking about when you get lost in the history. It's one of the favorites. I don't even know why I like going into the history books and like going into the weeds and stuff. But it's like the small, like when you can put two things together and you can line up the story with what people are experiencing. I swear to God, there's nothing like it. So I remember one time I was in, I don't know, a historical center in, I think it was in Somerville. Anyway, one of those places, not Somerville County. I don't know, whatever, down there, somewhere down there. And I'm looking through this book, right? And it's typed up. So it's that old font from like 1960s, 1970s, maybe 1980s. And I'm just looking through, and I had just communicated, because I'm a medium, I'm communicating through with a Native American. And the Native American, this town, was telling me that there's caves there. And I was like, caves? I'm like, that's so weird. It's New Jersey. Like, there's no caves in New Jersey, right? So literally, as I'm in this historical center, I'm turning the page and it says Indian caves, because that's what they called them back then, but Indian caves of Mountainville. And I literally jumped up in my seat, and everybody's like all in their research. And it was so exciting to me. So I totally know what you're talking about, Penny, when you're talking about like getting that information, which is there. You just have to put the time in and put the pieces together.
Yeah.
And you have to, I think you have to want to look for it. I know when I go to, if I'm doing something that's local, so I can use my local archives where I live. It's only about 2 miles up the road. So I mean, anyone who wants to do research, find where your local archives are. The amount of information that is stored in those places is mind blowing. But I'll like go at say 10 o'clock when it opens. And my husband will go, when will you be home? I'll be home in a couple of hours. It's 10 minutes up the road.
No.
and it gets like 4:30 and he's messaging me going, are you coming home? It's getting dark. And I won't even realize, I even though it's all glass front and everything, I'm so engrossed in what. And I have been there and done the thing when I found that key thing that just clicks everything together. And you can tell the people that used to doing that because they look and smile. The people who are there for just because they want to research family history and they don't do much research, they're like, but like the archivists, they'll know because I've talked to them before. They said when they see someone, they know that they've found something that is vital to their
I do genealogy. I did my genealogy. I've been doing since '86, so I know when I used to have to go to the just in the city, the library in Manhattan, and the microfiches. And then Newburgh. I have different places. I couldn't wait. I joined Ancestry.com. That's when stuff started coming in faster because you couldn't. How many times you got to right down the road? For me, I got to go into the city. I got to go everywhere to get my stuff. So I'm like, so when I got Ancestry.com. And you're right, how you get involved. I'll start at night and start looking for stuff. And it'd be like the sun's coming up the next day. I'm like, oh, wow. You get so involved. And then you find out one piece of information. You're like, I understand that. Yeah. I'd like doing research also.
I mean,
And
it
then
is amazing how much stuff is digital now as well.
Oh,
That,
sure.
that, you know, when the fact I can research US stuff without having to leave the UK, because so much of it's digitized. Same with like UK stuff. I don't have to go to the archives in like Manchester, which is up in the northwest. As much as I do love though, because I do love touching the original. When I was I was doing something on our local workhouse in Chelmsford where I live, and fortunately a lot of their documentation, sort of, we took the 19th century here, it got destroyed, but they still got a few of the sort of books, and I'm touching these books. When I went to I was doing something on the Chelmsford witch trials for someone, so I went to our National Archives in London, and I am touching the trial scripts from the 1600s. I'm holding these documents in my hand, and you're just looking at it thinking, I mean, apart from that, the energy that was coming off them when I'm reading all these women's names, but just touching it thinking, this was written in the 1640s. That's the mind-blowing thing when you hold. It's great to see it on screen, but when you actually hold and touch these documents in your hand, I always have a moment of whoa every time I do it. It's it's a privilege to be able to do that.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we all kind of held our collective breath there as you were saying it, so we get it. We get it. We were like, wow.
Yeah. So these I'm going to show you books again. If anybody wants to get her books, you get them on Amazon. These are the names. I'll leave it on for a couple of seconds. So everybody wants to write any of the names down or remember them. Okay. Start writing now.
That one's really drawn to me. The Elements of Cooking Forest.
Let me tell you something. That's my favorite by far, to the point, Penny, where I actually went on my own, did my own research afterwards. I actually looked up some of the things in it myself and went deeper into them. Yes, you inspired me.
That's what I want people to do. I was talking to someone about this weekend at I saw Todd congratulated me on my award that I won this weekend.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. But I was talking to someone at that event this weekend, and I was sort of saying that my books they've got just enough history in that if you're not particularly history orientated, there's just enough that should make you go, didn't know that.
Interesting.
If you do, but not too much that it's overwhelming. I want people. My biggest compliment is when someone comes away from coming to one of my talks or listens to my podcast or reads one of my books and said, "Do you know what? I used to think history was really boring, but it's actually quite interesting, isn't it?" That to me is the biggest compliment. It's the biggest compliment. And so I don't give you every single thing, but what I try to do is give you enough sort of threads that if you want to learn to research yourself, there's enough for you to start pulling. So what you've said, Jenny, has warmed this old woman's heart. I tell you, my black heart is almost melting at that.
Stop.
You like the Grinch.
Oh yeah, I went in books. I went on YouTube. I looked up, hauntings there, and the history, which is ancient, basically through modern, through like the 80s. When you have bodies being found. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, I mean it's been inhabited since the Anglo-Saxons. Yeah. So we're talking, the original ADs, if that makes sense. Right. Like, so even the Romans were there, and it's
my people.
No, not your people.
Hey,
no, I'm not my people. They're the boot. I'm from Sicily. My family's from Sicily. I'm from America, but my family's from Sicily. Yeah. So we're not really
we get it.
But yeah, that's what I love. I mean, I know a lot of people when they say to me, "You're so lucky in England that your history goes back such a long way," and I'll say, "Well, so does yours. Ours was documented. Our documented history possibly goes back further. Yeah, everyone's history. There was a history there where it's just not been documented." But no, Epping Forest was the reason that book came about. If you're interested, is the first episode I did of Help My House Is Haunted. I didn't know what they'd need. I didn't know what they'd need. So I like to over prepare. and I came with this stack of stuff that I'd found out about the area that they were talking about, and that was part of Epping Forest. And it was Jane Harris, who is one of the presenters on that show, who wrote the foreword to Epping Forest. She was leafing through it. She's a good friend of mine, and she was leafing through it, and she went, "You need to write a book on this place." And Epping wasn't my next book that I was planning. I was planning something else, and I just thought, "Oh, she's right, actually." So that's where, because I've found so many things out that weren't well known, and I thought that's what I like to talk about. I like to talk about the stuff that people may not have heard of, and like the story of the lady in there with the 2 children and the stream, and a lot of people were sort of very anti her when that story was on Help, and the medium was like, "Do you not realize she was trying to help them? It may seem she wanted to take her own life as well, it just didn't work. She wanted to go to the afterlife with them." And you know, we had no medical services that back in the late 1800s. She and her story, as you've read the book, I do a lot more of a deep dive on what happened to her. And you've got to read it to find out. I'm not going to spoil it as to what happened to her.
I highly recommend this book. Yeah. and I, like I said, I did a complete deep dive into the history afterwards. I was all over it. I was, you know, the bubonic plague and the the natural social distancing people did there. And I went way, way back.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that's what I love people to do. Is once you discover that love of learning and that love of researching, it won't leave you. It won't leave you. Yeah.
Okay.
Just won't leave.
It's awesome.
You were in a show. You did a couple of times in a show. What show was it? What episode? So if anybody in the audience wants to check it out, check it out.
Help, My House is Haunted.
My House is haunted.
I love that show.
Thank you. I've done 9 episodes of that one now.
Okay.
So I honestly can't remember all the different ones I was in of it. So I've done 9 different. What they tend to do is they have Help My House is Haunted and then Celebrity Help My House is Haunted, and they have a different historian for each episode in the series. So I can't remember now which ones I've done. One of the ones that really sticks in my mind was a sort of celebrity in the UK called Jake Quickenden, and his episode, I found out that his house, brand new build, was built on the site of this old farmhouse that dated back to the 1500s. And they discovered when they were doing some work to this house in the 1930s, they found this fake room with a ceiling, like a hatch in the ceiling to we'd call it a loft, you'd call it an attic. And when they sort of thumped on it to see the body of a Civil War soldier that had obviously died there during the Civil War fell out. And this wasn't documented, but I found this article about it. And interestingly, the stuff he'd been seeing Civil War soldiers from our Civil War in the 17th
and
century.
He's thinking, what? Like, I got a brand new house and I'm seeing Civil War soldiers.
Yeah.
Like, what?
A lot of sort of skeptics have accused the historians of making up the history to suit the haunting. I don't get told the haunting before I do my research. I genuinely don't know how I find what I find. I do think I'm being guided by something who wants their story told, because I've learned that if I don't write down what I found and where, I won't find it again.
But you know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you feel that way, Kim? You do too? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a medium, I'm not a psychic, but I do sometimes wonder if whatever the spirit is, it's gone, yes, you're finally going to tell my story.
Yes, exactly.
This is where I need you to go. But no, I can say this. I know for me anyway, I can't comment on the other historians on the show, but I know for me, all I get told is the location. And also if there's anything specific they'd like me to look into, like, you know, is there an era they think they want me to look into? Because otherwise it's like, big pond, small pond, small stone. But yeah, so the Jake Quickenden one is one that I really remember. And the first one I did, I've done a couple now that are based in Epping Forest. But the first one I did when I found those two, the mum who drowned her 2 little girls, the one with the lady we were talking about that I talk about in the book, when I found her story, and it fitted. And they actually, I think they had one of the girls' names come through on a device in
Oh,
the house, that made me go cold.
yeah.
That did make me go cold. But it's but yeah, Help My House is Haunted. It's and Celebrity Help My House is Haunted is one of the shows that, and you can normally just Google it, which episodes I'm in. It's quite funny actually. Somebody who I made friends with, she was one of my stall neighbours the other weekend at Penhurst. She doesn't watch stuff like this, Wendy, and she sent me a message saying that she decided to Google it to because she missed me and she wanted to hear my voice, and she found one of the episodes I was in, and she's sitting there watching it, and her partner comes out and he goes, "What are you watching this for? You don't watch stuff like that." And then suddenly he sees me and goes, It's Penny! It's Penny! She goes, "I told you."
So
awesome.
good.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
I catch it on Haunt TV here. We have it on. There's a network called Haunt TV, and they show a lot of Celebrity Help My House is Haunted on it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I've still got a couple of episodes that I filmed that haven't gone out on Discovery yet. So there's still a few more. I mean, I filmed one earlier this year that I haven't had. Actually, no, there's also one did the one I filmed last year go out yet? I can't remember that. But yeah, I've done. I think it's nine episodes now. I've done a history bit on. So yeah,
so check them
it's
out
good
on
fun.
Discovery.
Good fun.
Really cool.
Discovery.
I've always wondered how I could monetize my researching ability, but so now you're inspiring me, Penny. She's I just
Penny.
have
She's gonna forget all about us.
Of the history I found, but I love researching, and it's the strangest thing. Yeah, I mean, I would do that even in my studies, but I completely understand. I don't know why we enjoy it so much. Like the mediumship, I'm like, yeah. But like when you can find, I swear, it's just the best. And it's so interesting because I've been to Europe twice now. I've only been to Europe. I've never been to England or Britain, but I've been to Portugal and I've been to Spain, Barcelona, and, living in America and reading land and reading the areas, it is different. The amount of energy and the amount of information that's readable here in America, it's much cleaner, it's much shorter. But like when you go to Europe and you're walking down those streets, I mean, it is just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It's incredible. So I understand why you're like, yeah, I kind of need an error. Like, where am I looking here? Like, am I looking into Stonehenge, or like, am I looking into the last?
Yeah, I mean, normally they will sort of say to me roughly what time period they think I need to be in. Sometimes it's just like, just tell us what you're finding straight away. But it's something that, I mean, I think we're so used to it in the UK but even when I like Greece and the Greek islands, they're one of my favorite places to go. Their history is even older than ours. And it's like when friends in America say, yeah, this is a really old house. It was built in 1901. And I'm like, hold my drink. And then I go to the Greece and I say, yeah, this building's really old. It was built in 1322. And they're literally like, hold this ouzo. It's kind of
exactly.
It's all fascinating though. It isn't a competition. Well, it isn't a competition.
Yeah.
But
we're still a baby state.
No.
We're still like, baby in the United States, we only go back a couple hundred years where you guys are, even though we do have history before that, like you said, a lot of undocumented history that we do have that they're coming across every day, like Vikings and stuff like that. So, I mean, in America's,
the density of it is different. It's just the depth is just different.
One of my all-time thing is going to England or anywhere, England, Scotland, or Ireland, and going to a castle. That'd be my ultimate thing.
We have a few of those.
Yes.
Castle. I would love to be in a castle.
Can I just say, I've just seen in the comments people saying pray for Liverpool. What's happened in Liverpool has shocked everyone. I can say as a Brit who lives in the UK, I mean, I don't know if you knew what had happened.
Yes,
Anthony, but Liverpool, there's a football club, soccer, and somebody basically decided to drive into a crowd of people who were happy and just plowed through them, and they're not telling us. There's no reason for it. He's been arrested. He was a 53-year-old white male, they're telling us, and he's been arrested for sort of dangerous driving, attempted murder, and drugs. But there's some of the pictures you're seeing, like of a child stroller caught under the car, things like that. At the moment, I don't believe anyone's died from it, but it was a moment that everyone should have been jubilant because their football team, soccer team had won. And you've got some maniac, for a reason known only to him, decides to drive into the crowd. And it's I was just seeing the pray for Liverpool. I presume that's what people are talking about. It's rendered quite a lot of us. I'm not a soccer fan. I'm a rugby girl, but it's like it's quite up there in the news over here.
Yeah, I haven't been watching much TV. I've been babysitting the last couple of days. I've been watching Mrs. Rachel and all these kiddie shows.
Miss Rachel.
Yeah, my mind is like Google Gaga right now.
That's good.
Ours was Peppa Pig back in the
Peppa
day.
Pig.
Yeah.
That's before my time.
Sorry to change the subject. It's just I've seen the comments coming through.
Of course.
And obviously it's a thing it's in my country. I mean,
so
Liverpool's quite a long way away from me,
right.
But
it's still something that happened. Yeah. I understand that.
It's terrifying because it could happen anywhere. And unfortunately, we're a little, we have so many acts of senseless violence here in our country that, we're like, unfortunately, some of us get desensitized to it, and you can never do that. It's just, like you said, it's a stroller, I mean,
it's just the why. Yeah. I mean, they ruled out he wasn't a terrorist quite early on, but
it's like that, but it doesn't even help, does it? No. Yeah, but why?
No, but it's something that's hitting. I'm kind of quite surprised it's hit the news at your end as well. I didn't, but it's been headline news for a couple of days.
Was that just me? I got lost out there, or what? Or was everybody?
Are you back?
Just you.
Yeah, everything went frozen on me. I don't know what happened.
It's been blipping out at my end quite a lot. Everyone's dropping every so often, and
usually I don't have that problem. But okay.
Anthony, what did you do? Go get a cannoli?
No, I did not get cannoli, and that's a double drink.
We drink when we say cannoli.
I sussed that. I sussed that earlier. I was drinking while I was in the green room as you were saying it because I was laughing.
I don't know when this started, but I'm here for it.
We're gonna have drink now. Every time cannoli's brought up on the air.
There you go again. Here we go again.
I didn't even give myself a lot of water today.
But
right.
We're gonna have to start
talking your water, about Mary Beth.
Yeah. Let's talk about do you want to, we didn't ask this question, the big question. I know from the back of your books and the beginning of your books how you got started in the paranormal.
How'd you get started with the paranormal? I know you probably got history all your life, but how'd you get started with all that?
Oh, you want me to talk about my sister's story in the old barn, don't you?
And the barn, what you saw with your sister.
It's in the book. You got to buy the book.
No.
Well, it's mentioned in that one, and it's mentioned in the new one as well. Okay, so there's a lot more about this in my new book, Becoming Peggy. The sort of how I got involved. It's a lot because that one is and it really struggled with. I really struggled to write about myself because
I'm sure
that's not me. But basically, all my life, from a young age, I thought there was something else going on, if that's the best way to say it. I'm not a psychic, I'm not a medium, but I did hear things, I did see things that I couldn't explain. A lot of children do, don't they? They still have that sight that they can. And we lived in a very sort of little village in Norfolk, which, for those of you who don't know where Norfolk is in the UK, if you look at a map of England, you know the bumpy bit on the side, I always say it looks like a bum sticking out. That's where Norfolk is. And it was a tiny village, and there was only about 200 houses there. So my sister and I would walk our dog a lot. And now I must have been about, I'm sure I must have been, I'm trying to remember this because someone asked me, so I must have been about 9 or 10 when this happened. And there was this derelict old barn in the village that, you know, when you're kids and you dare people to look into the haunted house that you walk past, all that, that's this barn.
yeah.
It was dark, it was derelict, it was padlocked, like a rusty old padlock. It was, you know, a kid's horror story, just stood there. Anyway, we would dare each other to look in, and one day we were looking through a sort of a crack in the door, and there was this light, and the only thing I can sort of equate it to is it made me think of Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. And it was flying around inside, but not sort of, not like on a breeze. And it was a summer's day, it was a warm summer's day. It wasn't just coming in, a light coming in, because it was the way it was moving around. It was kind of, it would go along and then suddenly it would dart that way and then suddenly it would dart that. It's like Tinkerbell flying around, like glowing, and it was glowing, it was bright. And I can remember my sister and I were completely transfixed by it. We couldn't stop staring at it. And then the last thing that happened was it flew directly at where I was staring in through the door, hovered there for a second, and then disappeared just like that.
Whoa.
My sister and I couldn't move. It was like we'd been hypnotized. And the weirdest thing was I don't think I had a watch on. My dog was asleep at our feet. So we must have been stood there for a lot longer than the 10 seconds it felt like. Now, I didn't think about it much. We said we'd never talk about it because it was so weird. But as I got older and obviously got into all this kind of stuff, I did start looking into what it could be. And we don't have insects that glow like that in the UK. It wasn't light coming in the building because of the way it was moving. I don't know what it was. And I've had a few people say, could it have been a fae, like a fairy almost?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, I don't know. That's why I say the thing it reminds me of is when you watch like Peter Pan and the way Tinkerbell glows and the way she darts around. That's what, and it was after that experience, I just thought there definitely is something going on that I can't explain. And it stuck with me ever since.
Wow.
And you both saw it. That's what strikes me about that.
Yeah.
Whenever
cool.
more than one person sees the same thing, that's always fascinating.
She was stood there with me watching it. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we can't ask her about it, but I just say it was something that made me go, yeah, there is something that we can't explain.
And you really never talked about it.
What were your feelings that you had then? Were you afraid or were you curious? Because it's interesting, like as you're talking about this light, I'm not getting the sense that it would be a spirit. It was almost like either a spirit guide that was activating, and because the time loss is interesting. That's not something that spirit would typically cause. But it's almost like either spirit guide or like ET or like some kind of other elemental that was causing the time shift too, because that's really interesting. So I'm just curious.
Fear. It wasn't so much fear, more. I mean, I can't obviously comment for my sister because I can't. I genuinely can't remember what she said at the time. But I would just remember my feeling was just transfixed. I felt hypnotized. I felt like I couldn't move. I couldn't move. It was as simple as that. But it's more when we realized how long we'd been standing there, because the dog was fast asleep at our feet. So it was more than the 10 seconds that peering in, seeing this light that it felt like. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Faye could do that. That's something Faye could do. Fairy and Faye.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
See, I've got a friend in the UK called Kate Ray, and she's an expert in Fae and all of that. And I've told her this, and she said, I reckon it's a mischievous fairy Fae.
They still do that. Yeah. Interesting. Fascinating.
I know.
Yeah.
First experience.
Tangible.
We got some pictures, and we're supposed to be talking about a location tonight.
And he's frozen. Anthony.
I presume show us the puppy is someone wants to see my dog. Is that what show us the
Yes.
puppy means? Okay.
Yes.
Come here, you. Let me see if I can get the camera down. There you go.
Oh,
Can
he's
you
so
see it?
big.
Yeah.
Look at
That's
that
Loki.
big boy.
That's
Aw,
Loki.
Loki.
Good name.
Yeah, he
Love
fits
German
his name. He
Shepherds.
is the god of mischief.
Yeah.
Even only
Oh,
with
yeah,
3
for
legs.
sure.
Wow.
I love it.
He's a
There
big
you
love
go.
it.
boy.
That's
There
say he is obviously he's a big dog. He is a German Shepherd, male German Shepherd. But one of my neighbours has got a Shepherd as well, who I reckon is part giraffe. He's huge.
Oh, yeah.
He makes mine look small. Thank you, Bobby. But yeah, he's a very he's a typical shepherd. He's a Velcro dog. He has to be near me.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg. It's my friend Greg. He has to be near me at all times, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I
You
have
want
a
to go to
blind
the
cat like that.
You want to go to the toilet on your own? No, I'm
No,
coming in
no.
with you because
Yep.
someone might come and kidnap you whilst you're in the toilet, Mum. I've got
Thank
to go
goodness.
with you.
I gotta protect you.
Or kidnap him. Yeah.
Well,
Same.
I think he'd wear them out.
Well,
quite
the shepherds.
quickly.
I always tell the shepherds when I vaccinate them or I have to do anything to the shepherds, I always tell them you got to be a brave shepherd today. Okay, you got to be a brave
Aw.
shepherd to get your vaccines today. You got to be brave.
He's never had to be muzzled. Because of his we were waiting for you to come back, Anthony. That's why we're chatting. Because of his missing part of his back leg.
My internet keeps on going out.
He was really funny about people touching his back leg where he's missing, because we don't know what happened to it. He was found as a 3-week-old puppy in Bosnia already with it.
Aw.
He's kind of missing it from his ankle
Right.
down, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But because I knew as he gets
Yeah,
older, the
yeah.
chances are his hips are going to have to be checked and everything. I've desensitized him to being touched there, so he
Smart.
doesn't because when we first got him, he would go, you touch him, and now he knows if mum or dad is there, he's not going to get hurt. He's fine.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's never had to be muzzled yet in the vets, which
Yeah.
he
Great.
actually likes his vet.
Sweet.
Uh,
We
Mary
like our
Beth
vet
says She
too.
has a cat named Loki.
Yeah.
That's fun. He was such a little. Oh, she had a cat.
Yeah,
named Loki.
he's a big. Yeah, it's. I think if I'd called him a different name, it wouldn't. I think I've made a rod from my own back calling him Loki, because he is the god of mischief for sure.
Loki's in the audience, as we call Lourdes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
Well, you
right.
call
Oh my
Lourdes
gosh, that
Loki.
too.
Loki's
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
audience. He's under Gagnac.
Oh,
Yes,
my
Anthony.
gorgeous friends Ron and Lourdes. I love those
I know.
two.
They're both
I
in the
love
audience right
those
They're
now.
two.
both here. They're both here.
They're both here. And they're making fun of me because I keep on freezing up, the two of them. So, okay, let's get this in because we're going to be running out of time. I want to make sure
Yes.
we finish all this so you could get to bed.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Before she falls asleep.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing it. I'm still awake.
No,
I'm
you're
still
doing
awake.
great.
You look great.
We might.
I'm on my 3rd Red Bull, so I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm going to throw an aerial shot out if you want to talk about this place.
Do you want me to talk?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know anything here.
This
Is
is
that
from
the
your
place?
first book.
Yeah. So what? I don't know how much information you want me to give on it.
Whatever you want.
As much as you like. Yeah.
Whatever
we'd
you
love to
want.
hear about
Oh,
it.
so you do want me to tell you what it is and why I like it and everything else?
Yes.
Everything. Yep. That's what we do here.
Okay, Adam, it's nearly 2 a.m. in the morning here, just to let you know. So Adam's just said, what is it 1 a.m.? It's what, 1 a.m.? No, it's nearly 2 a.m.
Nearly.
Okay, so this is a one of my history specialities is the workhouse, the Victoria. They call it the Victorian workhouse. Technically, it was slightly before Queen Victoria, but it's known as the Victorian workhouse. And even though we probably had at one point in the UK over 600 of these buildings, there's only 3 or 4 left that you can actually visit, which I, as a historian, I find quite sad, because it means that people don't get to learn the true history because they can't visit them. If you can visit a building, you can get more of a sense of it. And yes, they were austere, as you can see here, very formulaic design, very regimented design. But that was because they needed to control hundreds of people with bare minimum staff. Now, this is one called, it has a couple of names. It's well known more as somewhere called Gresson Hall Workhouse and Farm. So it's a workhouse in Norfolk. Again, remember the bump on Britain's backside. And it's part of the area called the Mitford and Launditch Poor Union, because when the workhouse movement was formed, one of the differences was, whereas before 1834, you had what they call parish workhouses. So you'd have the parish of whatever, it was their responsibility to look after their poor. So you might have one parish workhouse had 3 people in it, another one might have 500, depending on the size of the parish. And also some parishes, I mean, you must see it in the States, some areas do have a higher, say, proliferation of elderly than others. Well, if you've got more elderly, there might be more demand on the services because they might need care. So they decided that maybe it would be fairer to put loads of these parishes together so they combine their resources and build a central hub, a central workhouse. And this is one in Norfolk, and say it's called Gresson Hall. It was originally built in 1830. Well, it was originally turned into a workhouse in 1836. Before then, it was actually one of the earlier versions. It was known as a house of industry, which aren't as common. And then when the rules changed after the 1834 Poor Law Amendment Act, it became the Gresson Hall Workhouse from 1836. And it stayed as a workhouse until 1940. Not that one. That's the British School. It stayed as a workhouse until 1948. One of the couple of interesting things about it, in 1917, it held 50 German prisoners of war from the First World War, which actually quite a few workhouses did.
That makes a lot of sense.
Does
Kim
it?
did a
Okay.
reading. She did a reading, pre-recorded readings.
I love it when psychic mediums say that to me. That makes sense.
I know.
Oh, what did you find?
Okay.
So yeah, in 1917, and they would have been repatriated back to Germany around 1919. Also, they actually built some additional cottages in 1853, whereas the when you went into the workhouse, everyone was segregated. So children would go off in one bit, men would go off in another, women would go off in another, and they'd differentiate between if you were able-bodied or not. And a lot of people, oh, that's awful, husbands and wives were separated. Well, why do you think they separated them? They had no contraception. They wanted no more babies. They didn't want more babies to handle. So, but then in 1853, they started saying, well, if you're an elderly couple, you can share if you want to stay together. And they built these sort of small cottages called Cherry Tree Cottage at the workhouse. And I've had a few experiences. That's it. That's the one. Yeah, that's Cherry Tree Cottage.
Very nice.
And that's one of the ones I had some interesting experiences in when I investigated there. So whereas everyone thinks it was very harsh, and yes, it was harsh, they were trying to make it easier, because obviously the figure was an elderly married couple aren't going to be able to have any more children, so we can let them stay together if they wanted to. If one of them didn't want to be with their other half anymore, they didn't have to be.
I was going to ask.
Sorry. I always find that quite amusing.
You don't want fights either. No fighting.
No.
I love that you bring this up about the workhouse, because I just recently went to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for the first time. And one of the things the guide said was, try to understand, some people did get better. People don't talk about that.
No.
They don't talk about the people who did get better, who needed to be here, who did benefit from being here. And it's not all darkness, that kind of thing. So, I mean, think about it. There was a farm right next door, right, where they worked the land. Like, so, I mean, they were fed. These are very, very poor people. So it's not all, we have this awful view of it. But I love that you bring that up in your book.
I mean, it's not something I particularly want to have to use myself, because I like my independence. But, there's an awful lot of people, oh, it's awful. They were thrown into. No, you were never thrown into the workhouse. You had to be admitted. And, it's it's very well saying, well, couldn't they have just given them money so they could stay outside? Well, they used to do that, and they couldn't afford to do it anymore because, you know, they it's not like they had computer systems to regulate who got what, you know. And yes, the diet wasn't great, but then again, it was designed to be. They didn't want people wanting to go in there. They didn't want you couldn't.
Right.
You didn't want to go in there. It was your last resort. And so that's why they made it as unpalatable as possible. It's also why they created such a stigma about the workhouse, because if you create a stigma about something, a lot of people go, oh no, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do that. So it is the ultimate, you're kind of forced in. I mean, I have my own personal family story about the workhouse, which you've probably read, Jenny, that I think it was my great-grandmother on my father's side. Her husband died they were in their 30s. He was a foreman in a steel mill up in the northeast of the UK, and he died unexpectedly. They, at the time, in sort of 1920 something, they didn't really know what it was, but looking at it now, I would say it was fibrosis, because he worked with steel. I think it was, you know, like a lung cancer from that. But and she was given 48 hours to get out of the tied cottage that was part of his job. 48 hours with 3 children under 6. Wow. Her mum lived in a 2-room built apartment. She was like, I can't have all 4 of you living here. And so she decided that she was very good at sewing. And so she went to what would have been the poor union and asked for a loan to buy a sewing machine so she could make money whilst the kids were there, because she couldn't go out to work. She had 3 children under the age of 6. And they said no. They said, your only option is the workhouse or nothing. They wouldn't give her this out relief. She basically was like, well, no, I'm not doing it. And so found herself a job as a housekeeper for a gentleman who said she could live in his house with her 3 children. And they ended up getting married. But the point was,
that's like a Jane Austen novel.
Isn't it just? Isn't it just? And it's a true story.
The good one.
But she, you know, the point I make is that when people think you're forced, well, she didn't want to go into the workhouse. She had to find another way of doing something. I don't know. Everyone was that fortunate, but it just shows that it wasn't. They basically made it as bad as possible, so that you would look at every single avenue first. You wouldn't just use it as a crutch, I suppose. But yeah, the food. So, I mean, when people look at the diet, and there was a mandatory diet set for people in the workhouse, that it was set from like government, so that they knew that this was all stuff that evolved, because there were scandals to do with workhouses. There was a big one called the Andover scandal, where the master of the workhouse there was stealing. You would get given the correct allocation of food for how many inmates you had. He was stealing it, selling it. So some of the inmates were starving, and they were basically peeling rotten marrow off bones that they were crushing, because they were so hungry. They would eat potato peelings because they were so hungry. And it was this nasty piece of work, master. So they did start to sort of, they learned their lessons over the years of how to make it a bit fairer. Some of the inner city workhouses were not great, but then again, a lot of inner city can be like that. But some of them, they stop these people starving or freezing to death at the end of the day. I mean, when you've got someone who, you know, that in Norfolk, there are tales of people just living in the hedgerows when they had no work, because they were too scared to get admitted to the workhouse. Which is I think is really, really sad. I mean, I understand making it hard so that people didn't think it was an easy option. It wasn't a hotel, far from it.
No.
But I just think I think we don't hear enough about the people. There is a common misconception that the only way you ever left a workhouse is in a box, i.e. dead.
Wow,
that's not true. I've looked at the logs. I mean, I've not looked at every workhouse in the whole of the UK. There were 600 of them, but I've looked at the one for Chelmsford where I live, and I can't remember what percentage it was, but I'd say the percentage of people who left because they were in a box, 20%. For the 3 years I looked at. you could discharge yourself at any time. You could ask to leave at any time.
It's not a prison. Exactly.
It wasn't a prison. And actually, the only reason it took people 2 hours to leave on average was because their possessions were stored off site. And it took them that, obviously, we didn't have cars then. So they'd have to send a horse and cart to get their possessions and bring them back.
Mhm.
And you could leave. There was no, the only rule was if you came in as a family, you had to leave as a family. A bloke couldn't just leave his wife and kids at the workhouse
fair.
and
Yeah, bloke. I like that. Bloke.
Otherwise, it would happen.
so
Probably
bloke,
a lot.
man, husband,
Bloke.
father, well,
Bloke.
yeah,
Yep.
geezer, dude, geezer.
Somebody, bloke, tomato.
Dude.
Tomato.
Kim, why don't you play what
Yes.
she before you went ooh, so you guys she
I
could
would
go
love to.
ooh.
Well,
Please do.
well, we don't
in her
tell Kim
readings.
anything.
I send her a
To
couple.
be
I
fair.
send her 2 of your pictures, and she did a reading
Right.
on.
But we don't tell her anything, just like you don't get told anything
Yeah,
for
she
that
didn't
show.
know you
Like
from the
nothing.
UK until
She
today.
doesn't know the guest. She doesn't know the location. She
No,
doesn't know anything. And then
This is what I love, is because what you're telling me makes so much sense of what I was
Cool.
seeing.
Brilliant.
So this is
let's
hopefully
do it.
hopefully more of this will make sense to you too, and you can help.
Okay.
Okay, we have another location for our guests this week and for our viewers. I was given 2 photos, 2 black and white photos. This looks like the front of a brick or stone building. And as I tap into this location, something here about a royal guard. Either there are officers on guard here, or this would be a place of a police station. I'm also, gosh, this is quite a depressing, isolated place. But I'm seeing people isolated in rooms for quite a long time. But there's a sense of like hopelessness or separation. They're kept here. Feels like a prison. There's just a melancholy here. So if you went into this building or near this building, there's just a sense of melancholy. Where I'm really feeling this is I almost feel like I wouldn't be able to leave here if I went in. Saying that I'm feeling this quite early is, interestingly, I'm seeing individuals, seeing men in tweed, and I'm seeing women in long dresses. I'm also seeing small eyeglasses on people. It's very small circular eyeglasses. Although I think it has been used for the 1900s, but I'm not feeling like the scene that they're showing me is 1900s. I'm feeling like this would be earlier into the 1800s. Thin. Everybody's very thin, hollow, and just like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then because they're not eating right.
That's just,
Because they're hungry.
yeah.
That's only one. You
Yeah.
want to do another
Do you
one?
want me to do all the videos?
Yeah.
Or you want to share anything on that, Penny? I guess
I'm
we're
just
trying to figure out
I'm
how to
making
share, like,
notes.
with the goal.
I'm making notes as the video's going through, so it's up to you.
Go ahead, continue through because I don't want to. I'll make sure you got your
Okay.
things. We got more things. So
Okay. Yep. They're bringing my attention to the courtyard here. And what I want to say is I don't know if there have been paranormal experiments here, but I want to say one that would be very good to try is actually to clear the sand on the ground or place flour on the ground. I don't know why they're bringing this up. Flour on the ground and look for footprints, because you will see footprints that are not made from the living. They're out in this courtyard, or they're even saying maybe even into the hallways. So I want to say specifically adding flour or baking soda, something like that. You might actually be able to catch footsteps here. That's really interesting. 1800s, but I do believe this is on like land here is actually not even that great. So the history of the land here where this building was put on, I don't know, there's something here about the law, royal guard. The land here has history of holding people even before this structure was placed on it. Reserved. So many of the spirits here are actually quite reserved. Keep wanting to talk in British accents, hearing them in British accents, but at the same time, there's very low-brow British accent, low class and middle class. Yeah, they want to say like working class individuals.
You want to continue?
Whoa.
You want to?
You?
Sure, there's one more.
Okay.
He wants it to continue.
He wants you to continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he's like,
And
go.
then I have this other picture of this machinery. And then I have this other picture of this machinery. And it's funny, I do feel like there's a gentleman here. And it's funny, the name that immediately came up to me was Walter Freeman or something like that. But like Walter, like this. So he's wearing like this cap, like this Irish cap on. He's wearing like this Irish cap on his head. Workman-like. I feel like he is in workman's clothes. He has tools. So I feel like he would have been somebody who would have repaired things in this property. I feel like there's a lot of heat associated with this. I'm not quite sure what this is, but I'm seeing heat and like fire, incinerating or something with heat and fire. So again, there's something here about the sound of tools. So I don't know if you would hear banging, like metal on metal banging here in this area. He definitely has full range of this property. He definitely can go multiple places. He is a larger gentleman, but I do feel like he's leaner in size. Everybody here is just like leaner in size, but he is taller, middle-aged, but he is a worker, and he lived and worked here. I also want to talk about an accident that happened here, and they're actually showing me like an injury to an arm. I don't know if an injury to an arm was in one of these machines, or there's documentation of this place of somebody having a severe injury to the arm or falling on the arm is very present here. He would communicate. I feel like his presence would actually be a cold feeling, cold coming up to people, coming near people. He would interact with people. There is still that, and he would have died here. I almost feel like it was a heart issue or something. It was a sudden passing. I still feel like this is a very busy area. I'm seeing a lot of people working in this area. Again, workman level, working class people. These are not necessarily high class individuals who would be in this building. And it's interesting, they want to talk about a very famous female who spent time in here. And I don't know if she wrote poems or if she wrote a book, but they want to bring attention to her. An A name is coming up with her, could be Alice. But I would be interested to know if there is a writer or an author who's associated with staying in this building. That completes the reading here. I can't wait to hear the history.
So,
Okay.
I'm going to explode.
Okay. So
That's
you
so
didn't
crazy.
you didn't know it was a British building that you were being sent, I take it,
No,
Kim?
she didn't know anything.
No.
This
Okay.
is before
No, I
we
don't.
even.
No, I-
Yeah.
So
She
I'll
does them
touch
well
on
in advance.
obviously. So you touched the British thing. Obviously, spot on. The lower class accents. Yes, again, it would have been working class people were more likely to go in there. The interesting thing, the other picture you were looking at was the laundry building. It was the laundry. That furnace type thing was part of the laundry. So and what's
It'll be hot.
I don't know about any famous women who were based there. However, I've written down that you said the name Alice. When I did an investigation there, that was the name that kept coming through on our spirit box. The name Alice. That name kept coming through. So it was I wrote that down that you said that. So obviously the heat, the fire, busy. I absolutely hate the laundry area at Gresson Hall. I want to run out of it the minute I run in. There is an energy in there that I think is male. And this is, that's just part of it. That's just one tiny part of the laundry area. There's a massive bit next door. There is a male energy in there that hates women. And I felt it. And interestingly, one of the investigations I did there, we were using like night vision goggles, and we had a male leaning over us on the table. We could see it through the goggles.
Tall, right?
But
Tall.
I
think so from memory. Yeah, but I just hate it in that area. Even when I first visited there as a museum 13, 14 years ago, I walked in that area. I remember with my mum, and my eldest was about 2.
he proper looked like Oliver Twist back then. I hated it. I had to walk out because the energy in there was just so oppressive. I felt unsafe. I felt unsafe in there. So I don't know of any specific arm injuries or whatever, but we're talking a 19th century laundry facility here. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Yeah.
Any kind of movement on a machine could, take off an arm, a finger, or even kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What you mentioned about the sense of depression, isolation, hopelessness, etc. Yes, that is a lot of the words that people would use because they'd had to go into the workhouse, and it was the ultimate shame having to go to the workhouse. They would feel that it was hopeless. They would never get out. They would. It's not that they were told they could never leave. Quite the opposite. But it is kind of like the last resort, and it wasn't until sort of later on in the 1800s that they started almost having work programs for adults to try and find work, because it was one of those catch-22s. You go in there because you haven't got any work, yet you're not allowed to come out to find work. What they did used to do is with and this isn't necessarily a good thing, with the children, like once they got to about 14, 15, they would try and place them in like service, so like maids and everything else to try and get them off that poverty trap. But for a lot of adults, it probably did feel they were never going to leave. They would never, and it would be down to a family member to say, "I found you a job," for them probably to have the money to then leave to set themselves up. So for a lot of people, yes, they would have felt, and they were separated from each other. As I said earlier, they were put into separate blocks for control. That is why it was to control them. The outfits you have seen, yes, they had a uniform. They would have what they call workhouse clothes. Now, I don't think the men wore tweed because tweed would have been quite expensive, but it was kind of a very rough kind of fabric they would wear. That was wool. It was to be very long wearing, because obviously when you left the workhouse, you gave your uniform back so it could be cleaned for the next person. And again, this sounds quite barbaric that they made them wear a uniform, but most of them came in, their clothes were falling off their backs because they were so, they came in barefoot with clothes that, for some people, it was the only time they actually had clothes, so they did have a uniform, and the women did wear sort of like ankle length dresses with a pinafore to keep their clothes clean. They were working. So yeah, a lot of that makes an awful lot of sense. The courtyard thing and the flower and the footprint, I've never tried that because it's a museum and they'd probably be a bit funny about it.
Oops, I spilled my flower. Oh, sorry.
However, let me tell you one of the things that happened to me in Cherry Tree Cottage, the bit where the elderly people were put. I was in there, and there was the gap. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. It's like January, so it's my dog was doing, he was shredding something down there. Gap under the stairs, and I saw 2 feet walk past the bottom of the door outside, and I opened the door and there's no one there.
And you heard footsteps.
Sorry?
You heard the footsteps.
Yeah, and I saw the movement of the legs, and there's no one there. But it was the fact you mentioned about footprints. I saw 2 feet, the shadows of 2 legs walk past the end, the bottom of the door.
So then, if you could put the flower there, oh my gosh,
maybe. Like I said, I'd have to make sure I took a dustpan and brush for me to clean it up afterwards, because I don't think the museum would like it very much. But yeah, so that was something that made me think when you said about I've saw 2. It's the shadows of 2 legs walk past.
That's crazy.
So bring a dust bus with you. You bring a dust bus, so you could take up the thing. Then you could catch ghosts.
You never know. Yeah, full on Ghostbusters, John.
Yeah, that's all.
There you go.
One of the Ghostbusters thing then.
Just make sure the streams don't cross.
Like paper, just like plain paper, maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to have a think about it. It's one of those locations I love, but it's incredibly expensive to go to, so I don't get to investigate there as much as I would like. I mean, they do charge an awful lot, but yeah. So I have seen the legs walking past.
Nice. crazy.
I got pictures of
Amazing.
boys here. I don't know if it's from,
Wait.
I want to see if the uniforms. Let's
Yes.
see if this is what you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
These are children.
But they went to school, right, Penny? Like
They did.
went to school.
They did, yeah. I mean, this is something that people forget about the workhouse, that education in the UK didn't become mandatory and even free until about the late 1880s, 1890s.
These are young
Right.
boys.
These are young boys, yeah. But part of the Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834, which kind of set up the Victorian workhouse, was that all children between the ages of 5 and 15 had to have up to 3 hours schooling a day.
Okay.
So the logic being, obviously, if they can read and write, they can find a better job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the one kid in there, you can see he's on a crutch. They're all the way to the left. He's on a crutch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Good eye, Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a paranormal investigator. I got to see
Anthony.
these things.
Yeah.
You are.
And he's the
You
only
see
one that's
stuff.
smiling.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's the other thing about the workhouse that a lot of people don't realize. It wasn't just for people who were poor. It was for people that didn't fit anywhere else.
Mhm.
So you mentioned Tala earlier, Trans-Allegheny.
Yes.
A lot
Same
of
idea.
people. Yeah, a lot of people who had mental health. That's the British School Museum. That's
That's
different.
the
But that's
Not yet.
paranormal. That's Paranormal Playtime. That's that one.
Right there.
That one.
Paranormal playtime.
That's what paranormal
there was-
playtime, people.
Yeah,
There's
that's
one other thing, though, that Kim said, Penny, that struck me. In your book, you talked about the bang in the laundry. She said something about a loud
Oh,
noise, didn't
yes.
you?
Yeah, like metal on
Yeah.
metal, or
Yes.
thing.
Well, I mean, it would have been loud in there. It would. I mean, you can imagine all the machines going
Right.
and everything else.
Mhm.
But yeah, when I was investigating them, a couple of us were sitting on this really solid oak table, and I mean, I'm talking solid. Like, I'm pretty strong. I couldn't even shove it. It's that solid. And there was a bang on it that we felt that reverberated through us as we were sat on it.
I
Wow.
remember this in the book
And
so well.
we don't know what it was. We couldn't recreate it. We tried like thumping the table ourselves, kicking it, dropping something on it, but it was so loud it made the table like shudder. We thought maybe we were too heavy and we'd broken it, so we were even checking we hadn't cracked the no damage to the table. But yeah, so it's we don't know. I think there was 3 of us, and we all felt, because we were watching them do like a
shake.
Well, it wasn't just a shake; it was like this boom on the table, like
Boom.
the table went, reverberated, and because we were sat on it, we felt it reverberate.
Wow.
It was almost like someone had picked it and dropped it, but they hadn't. And we tried lifting it, we tried pushing it, we tried recreating it, couldn't do it. And it was after then that we saw the man through the night vision goggles leaning over the table where people were doing, I can't remember what they were doing. I think they were doing glass work. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But yeah, it was, but the noise in there would have been.
I don't think you said man in the book.
Picture.
I didn't know it was a man that you saw. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a man leaning over.
I got a picture here I downloaded for Kim.
Oh.
Oh, the Suffolk Punch.
And here for Kim. She's a veterinarian for horses.
Those are
With
Suffolk
horses.
Punches. They're
Well,
very
I got a
they're
picture
rare.
here. You sent of doctors and nurses. That was some kind of anything
Well,
like that.
there would have been an infirmary there. I think the infirmary was one of the reasons people also went to the workhouse was, I mean, obviously we have free healthcare in the UK, the NHS, the National Health Service, but that didn't come about until after the end of the Second World War in around 1948. So before then, if you needed healthcare, you needed to pay for it. And obviously, if you're poor and you can hardly afford to feed your family, you're not going to be able to afford to pay for healthcare. And that was actually something else that the workhouse offered. It offered people a form of healthcare. Now, it was pretty rudimentary until about the 1860s. In fact, they had paupers from the workhouse working as nurses, and their payment was alcohol. So you can imagine the kind of nursing they were giving. And the doctor who would be responsible would be a medical officer who was basically as cheap as they could get.
But it was still a form of care. And what I was saying about people got dumped in the workhouse. If you had a mental health problem that wasn't severe enough to go into an actual mental health hospital, you lived in the workhouse. If you had dementia, you were put into the workhouse. If you were a single mum who couldn't survive, you were put into the workhouse. It was kind of it really was a melting pot of everyone that society couldn't handle.
They discarded of them. We want no bother with them. We throw them there. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stories you read, though, especially when you get someone who maybe had, additional needs, learning difficulties, the other inmates would look after them. They would care for them. They would take them on. It was like a mini family for some people. Some of the accounts I've read, but a lot. I'd say pretty much everything you've said, Kim, makes sense to me.
I would say the one thing they really kept saying to me was workmen. These were working people. Like that's all they kept saying to me. And I was like, okay. But so that's so interesting that you guys call them workhouses, because we call them poorhouses here. Yeah. And there was a poorhouse actually in my own town that I did research on, because there's a reservoir here, and they chose to go over the poorhouse. Out of all the places to put the reservoir, they chose to get rid of the poorhouse, displace those people. And there's actually graves underneath the reservoir that nobody talks about, nobody knows. But I was able to figure that out and bring that to light. So thanks, Penny, for, same thing, bringing light to a group in society that may not have had their voice really told, especially in the history books where they kind of like, wash over all of it or discolor it, or, so that's great. Thank you for bringing more.
Yeah.
No, you're welcome. I think the thing is, I mean, the problem is an awful lot of people that were in the workhouse were illiterate. So they couldn't actually tell you what their story was. And people tend to get a view of what the workhouse was like because of books like Oliver Twist. But if you actually look into what Dickens is talking about in there, he's actually mixing and matching the two worst aspects of the Victorian workhouse and what was the parish workhouse. And I'm sure that there was abuse in them. Any institution, even now, I mean, you look at schools, modern day schools, kids still get beaten, they still get bullied. It's a problem when you have a lot of people in a small area. It's unfortunately it's gonna, I'm not saying it's right, but you can also find lots of articles where they're trying to stop that in the workhouse. They were trying to make it run as smoothly as possible. Once it was found, I'm not condoning saying we should bring them back. That's right. But it's when you need to look at them with what the history of the time was. So when people go, oh my God, they were in the summer, they were expected to start work at 7 o'clock in the morning. They would have done if they were on the outside. They would have started work as early as possible. They would have done a 12-hour day and not thought twice about it, because that's what was
required,
the norm.
Really.
When people say, oh, they only ate meat 3 times a week. That's probably more than they would have eaten on the outside if they were that poor. They probably wouldn't have been able to afford it more than once a week if they were lucky. Yeah. So you have to look at what their life would have been like. Yeah. I mean, you've got to bear in mind, they didn't stop sending young boys down the mines until 1842. And we're thinking being separated from your husband or wife is the worst thing. I wouldn't. I mean, the thought of sending my 11-year-old down the mines. But I'm not saying they were a great place. I've just noticed someone's comment there about her grandfather, I think was raised in a work farm.
Really?
No, they weren't fun places, but
were there worse places they could end up? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
In some cases, you were already in a worse situation.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Right. In the gutter.
Often you were in a worse situation. And it's like Tala, like you said, they said, okay, right now, lobotomy is not the standard of care right now. But at the time, occasionally people were helped by it, as barbaric as it sounds. And we had read about people who said the lobotomy actually helped me a great deal.
I think, I mean, I
not that we condone it now, like you said, not that in today's world, we look back and think, oh my gosh, how barbaric. But at the time, it helped some people.
Well, I've recently done a talk on the history of the Victorian Asylum. I did it at the weekend at the event I was at, the parameet parakeet, the parameet parakeet, as everyone's calling it.
That's funny.
That's made me chuckle. The parameet parakeet.
Parakeet.
And yeah, I mean, obviously lobotomies didn't start coming in until the 1930s.
Right.
But when you look at the history of mental illness and how new a lot of the treatment is, and how, you know, they unfortunately they are experimenting on humans to try and work out what works and what doesn't.
Right. Insulin, electroshock, all that.
Oh, insulin therapy, I find absolutely astounding that they thought that would work.
Yeah.
But ECT, they do still use ECT now, and for a lot of people it's incredibly helpful.
Oh yeah, they do.
They've mastered more how to use it than just using it as let's see what happens. And it's like, I mean, you know, one of the things therapies they used to do was putting you in a warm bath and leaving you there. How many of us chill out by lying in a warm bath with a book?
I
Kind of helps, yeah. It's just how you do it. So it's, again, I'm not saying everything was great. There was some barbaric stuff, and there were people out. I won't even go into some of the stuff I found out when I was researching for this talk. But a lot of it was people there were an awful lot of people who were in the workhouse, especially towards the end of the 19th century, who were trying to help, who would, they wanted people to leave. They didn't want them there. You tend to find, when I've looked at census records, the ones who are there long term normally are either elderly or they have some kind of disability.
Yeah.
So and you know, it would be and interestingly enough, I mean, saying that this lady here, Mary Beth, who's talking about her grandfather, thank you so much for sharing that. It's interesting when there's, like I say, there's not many books written from someone who's lived in a workhouse, because a lot of them would have been illiterate. There's a couple. And it's quite interesting when you read it from a child's perspective, being left at the workhouse steps. It was like the worst thing possible. You know, their life was over, blah, blah, blah. There's a book called Indoor Paupers by one of them, that's written by, I think he was in his early 60s, and he was in a London workhouse. And he basically says, yeah, reality, it's not a nice place. You have to have your wits about you. But if I wasn't here, I'd be dead. And and it's interesting. So I think that the child can't see what they're being kind of saved from in a way, because their perspective is different. And I mean, I can't imagine the trauma of, you know, during the Depression, your mum saying, I can't look after you anymore. I'm going to leave you here. I mean, the trauma from that would be unmeasurable, really, wouldn't it? I would have thought. But yeah, it's. Sure. I say I don't think they were. I wouldn't want to bring them back, and I wouldn't. But it's when I look at history, I don't know about you guys, but when I look at history, look at what society was like at the time, and even though we don't agree with it now,
right?
There's reasons why they did stuff the way they did, especially stuff like that.
I know in America, when they used to have a lot of children, so they could have help, and if a child died, he just died. It was like, not today. Your child, you just, you know, it's hard for us because we can't understand that. But back then, they used to have children, and then I know out in Long Island over here, they got a place, Old Bethpage, and it's like it's a village that they brought all the old houses to. One of the houses have a bed that's built into like a structure, and they used to go in there. Husband and wife used to go in there, and they said they used to go in there with the parents, but they didn't put the kids in there because they couldn't. They made a little fire because the parents could make new kids. So if a kid passed away, it didn't. You know, I guess it didn't matter as much as if. I was like shocked at that, but I guess that's the way it was, you know.
I've definitely found stories where there was one where she lost a couple of children young, and it did affect. She did go insane and ended up being hospitalized because of it. So I think the feeling of loss was still as still as strong.
Profound.
Yeah, but it was not as surprising as it would be now. Child mortality rates were obviously so high back then because of a lack of medical care, lack of nutrition, lack of everything else. But also you found a lot of these families, I know in the UK, these sort of working class families, obviously there was no such thing as contraception. So, you know, women were falling pregnant year on, year out. But also you'd have more children because then they could bring more money in, because the minute they could start working, they can bring money in to the house from 7, 8 years old. And that was another reason that a lot of them would have big families, is because they could bring the money in to the house, which was why when some of the schooling things started, like I talk about in Paranormal Playtime, it was such it was a real sacrifice that those families made by saying, yes, we'll pay a penny a week for our child to go to school, because it meant they lost a couple of pence a week because that child wasn't able to go out and work. And it's also why some of the schools, I mean, the one in Hitching that's mentioned in that book, they used to allow the children to be off school during harvesting time, because they knew all the whole families would go out and help with harvesting to earn some money to look after themselves for the rest of it. And it's quite astounding when you think about it. Like that. But there's a lot of part of it was the fact, you know, they couldn't control birth. But also
there was no Netflix. There was nothing else to do.
There's no
binge movies. You couldn't.
You couldn't exactly say to someone, had to buy a television.
No scrolling.
Once the candle was blown out.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else are you gonna
do? It was pitch black. You know.
Exactly. Pretty much.
What else are you gonna do? Hey.
I mean, let's face it. Queen Victoria openly admitted to not liking children, but she fancied her husband, and that's why she had such a big family. I mean, there you go.
You know, it's the way it is. I know when I did my genealogy on my family and stuff, and you know, you bring up the census and all that stuff, and you'll see like young children in there, and then you look, and then the child would die, and they have another child, and they name the same name. Yeah. And so that
always freaks me out a little bit. Like, that really freaks me out personally.
You know, being Italian, there's how many Josephs, Anthony, Marias, Annas, Salvatores, you know, and it's like, but and it's, you know, you might have like 2 or 3 Josephs in a name, and like 2 of them pass, and then you have another Joseph.
Yeah.
You know,
Same here. It can get quite confusing when you're doing that research as well, because you're thinking, hang on, that one's saying it was born in, I don't know, 1857, but the other one was born in 1849. Why is that? They got the same name, and then you realize that there's going to be a death certificate somewhere for the one that was born in 1840. It was a very common thing to name after another name. They would also sometimes say, I'm just reading the comments as we're talking, there was also sometimes they would only name a child so they could get it christened just before it died, so that there's a lot of things they would save up to pay for the baptism, so if a child was going to pass away as well. And the census in the UK, it's not the same in the US. Obviously, you have a different census system, but the one that gets me is our 1911 census, because on that it says how many children have you had and how many are alive. And when you see those figures, sometimes that has reduced me to tears before. It has reduced me to tears when I think that poor woman, you know, she's had 15 children and only 4 of them are still living. Things like that really gets me.
It's because I would like I said, that's reading the comments when I go through a lot of stuff, and they'll have like, you know, the birth date and then the death, and then you're like, okay, and it's actually doing the history. You have to be like you have to be a researcher. You have to investigate. You have to be open-minded and say, okay, this is a date here. This is a date here. All right, and then you have to try to match the dates.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, because I know the census here, you know, they changed my name when they got here. My last name was Sciminelli, SCIM, and they took the C out. but then they put it in some. They really screwed me up a little bit into what the name is now. So I had a hard time when my family came over. I was looking up Simonelli, and then I heard in my family maybe, there was a Simonelli name, and there was Simonelli. I'm like, so I'm going to go with that. And then I found that my family came over on the Sicilian Princess, and in 1909. So I found it, and then I found my grandfather, and his name was Giuseppe then. Now it's Joseph here, and his brother Giovanni. Now it's John. So you have the switching over. Yeah, and it's like you have to be like a detective.
A detective a little bit.
Yeah, you have to try to match everything like a puzzle.
Oh, but it's fun. It is fun.
So fun.
I enjoy it, and I still do
that. Anthony's very good at that kind of thinking.
Yeah,
he's very, very good at that. I have to compliment him on that.
Yeah, I do enjoy the detective side of it all.
Yeah, yes. I took a lot of critical thinking courses with my union. I started in '86 to 2002. So every year I took
Kim has been known to be, I got the death certificate. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I got it.
I get that
when it comes in the mail.
I'm like,
well, now it comes in emails, but that's all right.
No, it's exciting.
Which book was your favorite to research, or like what was your favorite place, or like what's a bucket list place that you want to?
Oh, but that's 3 questions in a row. We just threw.
Sorry, yeah, no, I just.
Well, when anyone asks me which is my favorite book, I say it's like ask me to tell you my favorite child, and then I always get that everyone's got a favorite child.
Come on,
yeah.
But you won't get in trouble for saying it.
Yeah, the books won't turn on me. I think my favorite is still the second one I ever wrote, A Haunted Experiment, because it was such a different. It came to me while I was just finishing my haunted history, and I didn't even think I'd write one book, let alone get an idea for a second. I had the idea. Well, I was doing a photo shoot for Women in the Paranormal, never having done anything like that before. And I was listening to some other women talking about various experiments. And I was like, where did it come from? What's the history of that experiment? And they didn't know. And I just thought, wouldn't it be cool to write a book that rather than tell people how to do an experiment, to look at some of the background? Again, to raise questions, like people go, oh, okay, so who was this Radave guy? All of that. And then I thought, and that's where that one came from. So you've got the history of 4 different experiments, some more modern than others. You've got the history of the 4 locations, and then I carry out the experiments in these 4 locations. And one of those locations, locations is a place called RAF Tibenham, which was again in Norfolk, near where I grew up. It was a US Air Force bomber base in World War II. I love aeroplanes. I'm an aeroplane geek. It was where the actor Jimmy Stewart flew from for a lot of his World War II career, and never been investigated. And my dad's flown from there for decades, because it's now gliders and light aircraft. And he got approval for me and a few others to do an investigation there for that book.
Awesome.
So that was kind of, and it's somewhere I'd been visiting since I was like 3 years old. So, and I'd always sensed something there. I'd always felt, but I'd never taken like a psychic there with me to see if I was just making stuff up. And what was interesting that we did actually then, about 6 months later, we did a full-blown public investigation there for them to raise money to fix the runways, because the runways are the only thing still standing from when it was a US Air Force base. And I took someone I knew who was a psychic medium into one of the areas that I always used to fit. My sister and I always used to think, oh, we're being watched. And the first thing, she walked in and she went, oh God, it feels heavy in here. And I was like, yes. No, that's Rendlesham that you're thinking of. Rendlesham Forest that Mary Beth's thinking of, the UFO one. Slightly different. But yeah, it wasn't so much a bucket list, but it was one of those that I was so chuffed that we got approval to investigate there.
That's really special.
Especially the way you love planes. I mean, yeah.
But it's so that one is probably my favorite. But I do love all of the books I write. There's a bit of me in every book. If that makes sense. There's a piece of my heart in every single book. I mean,
it makes much sense.
Yeah, I mean, all of them I've loved researching and writing, but Haunted Experiment, because it was my second one, and I never thought I'd write one, let alone come up with an idea for another one. And because, like I say, going into Tibenham, which was somewhere I've been going to for well over 40 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I have got a sort of where with the village I grew up in, where the one where I walked the dog, that was actually the headquarters for part of the US Air Force Bomber Command in World War II. There's a big hall there. I talk about it in the new book. There's a big hall there, and that was where the second had their headquarters. And it was weird because I always used to walk around the woods there as a kid, and I always used to feel I was being watched. I thought it was because the hall at that point was being used for one of the Formula One teams, Lotus, and I thought it was security there. And it wasn't until I started doing all of this that I found like maps of how many huts were there that were World War II US Air Force bomber huts, and it all started to make a lot of sense.
Sure.
So and Norfolk itself was known as Little America during World War II. And if anyone's ever watched Masters of the Air, that series on Apple, that will make a lot of sense. But there were so many US Air Force bases in Norfolk, it was known as Little America.
I wonder if that's where my grandfather was, because he was in the Air Force, and he was over in Britain. I wonder if that's. I have photos. I have all kinds of photos of him. And
wouldn't that be amazing?
Feel free to send some. Feel free to send some over to me, and I'll
will.
see what I can find. Yeah, because there was loads of bases in Norfolk. Bomber bases.
A hill. I don't know. There's a hill that he took pictures of from the air. I don't know. I'll send them to you, but I wonder if
definitely
that would be wild.
Yeah. So Jimmy Stewart was a pilot. He flew. A lot of people don't realize that. They think he was just like a, just went on the air. No, he was an incredibly talented pilot. And crews would want to fly because he flew Liberators. And crews would want to fly with him because he was known to be so lucky and so good at getting his crew home in one piece. He flew from there, and then he went to an airfield called Old Buckenham, which is about 6 miles away. But then he became one of the sort of more commanding officers. So he would have spent time in Ketteringham at their headquarters that I knew. He would have been there at some point.
That's incredible.
Obviously, he wasn't the only person. There was an awful lot of incredibly brave people. But he was an incredible pilot. He was very, very well regarded by the men under him.
Not everybody knows that.
No.
I know from your book. I didn't know until I read your book.
Did you not? You see, I love telling people that these sort of stories, because there's an awful lot. Jimmy Stewart, there's an awful lot obviously written about his acting career, and I mean the scene. I'm sure there's people who know this, and I'm probably teaching people to suck eggs. But the scene in It's a Wonderful Life where he breaks down when he's hugging the children. He genuinely broke down. Basically they filmed that just after the war had finished, and he had covered up the fact that he was sending letters out constantly to families saying, sorry for the loss of your son, sorry for the loss. That genuinely is him breaking down. He genuinely broke down filming that.
And then we all break down at the end of the movie.
He's not acting. Yeah, he's not acting at that point. He admits that it was a genuine, it was kind of a cathartic moment for him.
Dig into something.
Well, he'd been bottling up that sort of, I suppose, post-traumatic stress from being a commanding officer and everything he'd seen and dealt with. I mean, when you watch something like Masters of the Air, which I think depicted it, obviously that's a different airbase. That's Thorpe Abbott's, the Bloody 100th. They were flying Fortresses, not Liberators. But when you see them sort of waiting for their aircraft to come back, that's what it was like. You were literally counting down. And I don't know how gory we can get on this show.
But the responsibility must have been crushing.
The fact that they somebody told me once, it was somebody who was ground crew, said the first job he ever had was hosing down the inside of the aircraft. So, and you can imagine he was in charge of a lot of this, so he was the responsible. Scene in It's a Wonderful Life is genuine. He's not acting. He genuinely broke down on set filming that scene.
Now
He's
you see why
amazing
we
pilot.
could listen to Penny all night. Although now she cannot, she
Full
might not be able
of
to
the
stay
good
up all
stuff.
night.
Full of the good info. The location that we did tonight, the workhouse, which is that in one of your books? Which book is that one in?
That's in the first one. I
That's in the
mentioned
first
Gresson
one.
Hall in the first book. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Love it.
But I also mentioned a workhouse in my most recent book as well. Because without giving away too much, the old maternity hospital in Chelmsford where I gave birth to my first son was the old workhouse, and that's quite common. That a lot of workhouses, when the workhouse movement finished in 1948, it changed in 1930, but when it finished in 1948, a lot of them either became old people's homes or hospitals, depending on the bulk of the people in there. Now, Gresson Hall became an old people's home until 1974, 1975, I believe. But Chelmsford, where I live, became a full-blown hospital. So it is quite interesting when I'm driving around, I can recognise if a building was a workhouse or not because of its design. And you normally you can find out what it became after 1948. And like I say, a lot of them, depending on the I suppose the bulk of the people who are in there. If the bulk of the people who were in there were needing it for the hospital start, it became a hospital. If the bulk of them were elderly, and that's why it was like an old people's home, for want of a better term, that's what it became for quite a long time.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Gosh, we didn't even talk about the school yet.
No,
we didn't talk about the school. I know, it's like
we're running out of time too.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Well, all I will say is the cover of the school's book, if you want to hold it up again for me, Jenny.
Yeah.
The two children on the front, those are my sons. They modelled for me for that cover.
Yeah.
And they didn't even charge me. I didn't even have to sign a contract or anything.
No, they don't get royalties for this.
No, no royalties. There's no copyrights or anything.
That's so cute.
No, but the rule is I have to tell everyone that's them because they're quite excited I mean, that's a good few years ago. I brought that one out, but
I was going to say they're young here.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so that would have been 20. That came out COVID. That's when that one came out because I hadn't even written a haunted experiment when I was asked to the school that one's about. We could talk about that another time.
Yeah,
the school that one was.
Back.
Yeah. Oh God.
We planned it that way.
Yeah. What you're gonna get me?
She's like, I'm so tired. Maybe we record that during the day.
I don't mind as long as you give me fair warning. And if it's school holidays, it's great because I don't have to get up at 6:30 to get the kids up for school. That works.
Oh God.
Good.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so I can't remember what I was going to say now about that.
Sorry.
One. Oh yes, I know. So I was doing an investigation there, and the group I was with were telling the manager of the museum, "Oh, Penny's a really good writer. This is her book. Blah blah blah." And he was like, "Well, we're looking to have someone write a book like that about here. Would you be interested to write the book because it's our 25th anniversary of being a museum?" And this was just before. This would have been was COVID? We shut down March 2020. So this would have possibly been October, November 2019. They asked me, and I said, "Well, I've just got this other one I'm trying to finish. Once I've done that, be happy to." And we had all these plans for all these investigations, visits to the archives, yada, and then COVID struck, but they still wanted the book. So it was quite an interesting one to try and put together remotely. They did end up opening up the museum for me to go in on my own to do daytime investigations, which still produced activity, I'm telling you.
Of course, we love daytime investigations. We talk about that all the time here.
Yeah, we love daytime.
The
all time
British Schools Museum, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, we want to know how to get your books. Anything you want to advertise, anything you want to promote,
Well, firstly, I do want to say thank you to everyone who voted for me to win this.
Yes,
I am still. It's the top paranormal personality of there's a paracon in the UK called Parameet, not Parakeet, Parameet, and it's run by someone who's nicknamed the God for R. That's nice, thank you. The godfather of the paranormal in the UK. He runs a place called the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre, Mr. Neil Packer, and he runs an event. And this year, the awards, one of the awards was Parameet Personality of the Year.
and I got nominated. I was completely shocked. I didn't expect to be. And I did post on my Haunted Histories Facebook page where you can keep up with me. I won.
She won. Congratulations.
You won it. Yeah.
Which I didn't
Round of
expect to.
applause. Nice. Congratulations.
Thank
Wait, show
you.
it again. Show your award again, please.
Look at
It's
this.
so cute.
I voted.
love it.
Really
It's
cool.
like better.
My
It's better
ghosty.
than an Oscar. Much
I
better
think
than an
so.
Oscar.
I think so. But what was even better is, and this was something I observed, when you look at a lot of the paranormal shows on telly, they're all men, aren't they, running them? You might have one woman, like token woman.
Yeah.
I think the awards that were given out that night, 70% were won by women. So
Fantastic.
Even
Woo!
more.
girl
Bethany,
power.
close
In
your
fact,
eyes.
the table I was sat on, one of my girlfriends, good girlfriends to one side, won an award. Another girlfriend to the other side won 2 awards, and the 3 of us sitting there with 4 awards in front of us, thinking, "Yeah,
Heck
we've
yeah.
done it." Yeah.
You're like,
Represent.
What was I going to
Great.
say? So yes, so I admit to crying. I admit to crying a couple of times when I've recounted the story, because the chap who was giving the awards out is a very good friend of mine, and he didn't know who was winning at the beginning. And when he announced the runner-up, and then he suddenly saw who the winner was. Obviously, I didn't know at the time it was me, and he basically said that he was so excited to say this name, and he was probably going to cry saying it because the person deserves it so much. And he looked me straight in the eye, and I'm just like, no way. And he's just nodding his head, and then he said my name, and I can't. Yeah, I think I don't even think I did a speech. I think I just said some swear words and said thank you a lot.
That counts, Penny.
But pardon?
That counts as a speech.
Well, yeah, but I'm kind of known for swearing, so it was fitting. And
that's why you and I get along so well.
I
And
think
when
I'm worse than you, Anthony.
Well, I'll tell you what I said off air. But when I went back to my seat, my 15-year-old, he comes to a lot of these events with me because he's in training, and he just
I love that.
Across the state table, he just went, "Mum, I'm so proud of you." And of course, the tears just went again. And then the next thing he said, we were going back to the car because we were staying in a different hotel. He just went, "Mum, you need to believe in yourself more." I was like, "Stop it, please. I cannot cry anymore."
Oh my God.
So I do want to thank Neil Packer, and I do want to thank everyone who voted, because I know some of you guys did.
Yes, we did.
Haunted Histories is my Facebook page. I have a Haunted Histories Instagram that you can follow me on. There's a Haunted Histories website that you can follow me on. If you do want to get hold of any of my books, you can get hold of them on Amazon. In all the various countries. I can send out signed ones, but at the moment the postage to the US is incredibly expensive. It doubles the cost of the book for you. But if you do buy one ever, and I'm over in the US and you want to come and meet me and get them signed, I'd happily do that.
Oh, thanks, Penny. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're very
I will
welcome.
take you up on that with my
You do.
Yeah,
copies of
so
all your
generous.
books.
You better make sure your pen has a lot of ink
like-
for all the books she has.
I know. I'm gonna come with like my armful of Penny Griffiths Morgan books.
It's fine. It's fine. When I did Penhurst recently, this lovely young woman had seen me on the Saturday and said she'd be back on the Sunday to buy a book. And I'm like, great. She comes back on the Sunday, and I went, which one do you want? She want one of each. I'm like, really? And she went, yeah. And I was signing away, trying to put a different comment in each one. Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
That's
with Jen, you have to write to fangirl.
Sandra,
Aw.
Jenny.
There, I am
Jenny.
proud. I am very, very proud to call Jenny a fan. It
Thank you
makes
so
my
much.
day. You're so welcome, my love.
Thank you. He makes
Yeah,
fun
you
of
should
me.
when I
be.
told you,
Thank
She's a
you.
great
when I told you you're coming on the
have.
show, she was like, so like,
Very
okay,
supportive.
cool. I read all books. It's like, okay.
I'm waiting for you to admit you're a fan, Anthony.
You
I'm
are
always
fan.
a fan of you. Because you know why? Because it's tomato.
Tomato.
Oh, here we go. As long as she can say cannoli,
Aluminum.
you're fine. As
Aluminium.
long as she can pronounce cannoli.
Yeah, cannoli. Drink, baby, by drink.
Cannoli.
Oh.
No more
Cannoli.
water
I
left.
didn't say much tonight, so we got to say a couple of cannoli.
Cannoli.
Yeah. It's like shots.
I have one drop.
Molly.
I have a drop
Molly.
of water.
Take the bottom of the cup. Get it out of there. So,
That's funny. So
I
where will
just
you
wanna-
be coming
Yeah.
up? Like, do you have any events coming up? Paracon, something like? Where can people meet you?
No,
Are you?
not coming up at the moment. I'm deliberately taking some time out to start working on the
Good
next
for you.
book.
And you have
Um,
Festival of the Unexplained in September.
I'm not doing it this year
Okay.
because it's on the weekend on my son's 16th.
Well,
And
that's
whilst I'm sure he'll want to be out with his mates and won't want to spend time with his old mum and dad,
oh,
I want to be out
I don't know about
around.
that.
I want to be around for
Yeah.
his 16th.
Oh, okay.
So I won't be doing
Okay.
it this year, but
Mhm.
there's some really very cool. I mean, Ron and Lourdes are going to be there. How much
Yes.
cooler do
Go
you
see
need?
Ron and Lourdes.
yeah. Well, I think Todd and Camilla's going to come and visit you guys.
They are
too.
coming over, which is why Todd was mentioning her, because he grabbed a copy of, where's it gone? This one.
Bosworth Hall. Yep.
Okay.
When I saw them recently. So and that's where the event takes place. So yes, I'm hoping I might get to sort of go up there and meet up with them, but I won't be there for the actual festival
Oh, I
per
didn't
se,
know
because
that you weren't
because
going
it's
to be
my
there.
son's
Okay.
16th. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Well, of course, it's a big deal.
exactly. So no, this year I'm kind of taking it.
Familiar.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Family's always first.
It's my
Totally.
daughter's birthday today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy
And
well,
birthday.
happy
Julia.
birthday,
Thank
kid.
you.
Julia? Is it Julia?
And it's
Julia?
Julia, and
Yeah. Happy
she
birthday,
works.
Julia.
She works in publishing, so she'll very
Ah.
much be loving this
Oh,
episode.
nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, we got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
So,
You mentioned that you have a podcast.
I do. Funnily
Oh.
enough, it's called Haunted Histories.
When
Right
is
in.
it?
People?
When is
Haunted
it?
Histories.
Well, it's a pre-recorded one. I must admit, I haven't been doing as many episodes as I used to because the book writing took over. I tend to release sort of one a month, one every 6 weeks. But if people follow the Facebook page or the website, it's on all the standard sort of like Spotify and Apple and all of the normal channels. But it's basically, it's me talking to guests. We look at the history of a location, we look at the paranormal stuff. The whole reason I started it was I was very frustrated with people making up history to suit their narrative.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts. And so I started
Amen.
the podcast
Mhm.
it was before the first book, so 8-9 years ago. But I'll be honest, the books have taken off more, and the research for each podcast. So I don't do as many. I used to do it
Mhm.
weekly, but now it's probably every 5 or 6 weeks I launch.
Yeah.
I launch one, and it's a chance for me to talk history and paranormal with people.
That's awesome.
We get that. We
Like we
definitely
do.
get that.
We do. We try to do that every week.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We love it.
I'm gonna have this. We're gonna have to end this, guys. I
So-
hate ending this. I really do.
Oh.
I hate ending it. We can go another hour or two. But Penny, you can
know.
watch the sun come up by you. We'll
I
just stay
know.
on all
Thank
night.
you for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you for
you're
very
staying
welcome.
up until 3 a.m.
Yeah,
with us.
it's been I've really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed meeting
I'm
everyone
so glad.
in the chat room, and thank people for telling their stories. And
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
great viewers.
we do
Yeah.
have a very
Mhm.
very
Very interactive.
loyal
We
and
love
great audience. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I want to thank the audience for staying
Thank you
with
all
us
for being
tonight.
here.
Thank you for
Mhm.
being with us. We had a lot of people. Benny, thank you again. This
You're
was
so welcome.
awesome.
Yeah.
That you
Amazing.
stayed with us, and we enjoyed all your talking, especially Fangirl.
Jenny.
Jenny. So
Yes.
we really enjoyed it, and we're going to definitely have you back if you could stay up one night and late again.
Oh, please.
we got to do it off season with school. So
Yeah, when school holidays, it
Yeah.
works because I don't have to get up at 6:30 to get kids ready for school.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know.
Otherwise, that would be impossible. Yeah.
I
We'll have the
thank you
coffee.
again for the audience. We do have to end. I hate ending this thing.
I know.
So we had a good time. Thank you for everybody for showing and being here. Thank you again, Penny. They all love you, and I think you're gonna have some books. People are gonna start
Oh,
ordering
yeah.
some more of your books. Because Jenny's the best reviewer here for them. And I want to say to everybody, You know, you got to be safe out there. You want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. Remember, forget about it. Ciao, familia. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
You mad at me or something?
I don't know. Did you do something to make me mad? Because then I am. But if you didn't, then I am not.
I didn't do anything.
Then I am not mad.